Welcome into the Hustle Show podcast championship weekend. Chris Thurston, Kelly in Vegas, Adam Trigger. I am Drew Martin. We are brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer, vivatequilaseltzer.com. At checkout, Hustle20 takes 20% off your order. That's vivatequilaseltzer.com and WagerTalk.com. Guys, the best free live odds in the industry. Go check it out. If you go to college football on the live odds screen, WagerTalk.com. All the championship games are there, sides, totals, whatever you want. Go check it out, wagertalk.com. Going around the horn here, we got big game breakdown. Going to Adam Trigger up first. Follow him on Twitter at TopFlightSI. Trig, welcome in. Where are you looking for big game breakdown, my man?
What's going on, Drew? I wanted to go first because my big game breakdown goes in about 20 minutes. Going to the hardwood, Kansas State, Butler. I said on this show last week to Kel, and really to everyone, when we were talking about LSU, Kansas State, I said if the winner of that game is going to be a fade for me next time they play. I said I wanted it to be K-State. It was. They win at the buzzer. And I'm going to be on Butler here. I tweeted it out this morning, gave it out, minus 130. It's moved a little bit. I mean, it sucks that you have to lay 2.5 or 3 right now, but I still think it's the right side. I think it's a tough spot for Kansas State, having to go on the road. Hinkle Fieldhouse, that's a tough place to play, especially when you're a team that doesn't play there, not a Big East team, so a team that's not familiar with Hinkle. Listen, Kansas State, I love Tang. They've been a pleasant surprise so far. I thought they might be by far the worst team in the Big 12 this year. I don't think that's going to be the case. They've surprised me, but I think this is a tough spot for them. I think they're going to have a little bit of regression after a hot start. They still were in a close game with Cal, which looking back at that, man, Cal might be one of the worst power conference teams in recent memory. So I'm on Butler here, guys. It's a 4% play for me. Interested to see if Kelly has a rebuttal there. But yeah, Butler, money line, lay the small number. I think they get it done.
Yeah, listen, Trig, there's only one undefeated basketball team in the state of Kansas right now, and that would be the Kansas State Wildcats. Just out of curiosity, I mean, what's your hang up with the Cal team? I mean, they won by 9 on the road. Is that
they won by Cal? They
were up 36-21 at half. Trig, like
that was a tie. That was like a tie game with a couple minutes to go. They had a couple possessions. I think it was I think they got like a 4-point play or something like that. And then
right, so they put off the gas. They turned the ball over too much. This is my one beef with this K-State team. I think that they play really solid defense, and that's huge, right? And that's why we've seen them win in a couple of overtime scenarios. Well, overtime against Nevada, I thought it was going to overtime versus LSU. I'm sorry, it did not end up going that way. But this is a team that's one of the most experienced teams in college basketball, most notably because they got transfer Keontae Johnson. He has been huge for this offense, absolutely monster. And if Bruce Weber wasn't their coach, if Bruce Weber was their coach, we wouldn't have gotten him. Coach Tang, so happy with what he's done. Now, normally I have it literally written down right here on my college basketball slate for the night, and I have K-State square dog. It looks like they're the square dog. I'm not going to lie to you. But the higher this line creeps, the more that I'm afraid the Butler, who doesn't make their free throws, doesn't get offensive boards, and also turns the ball over here. I don't know if I'd want to be laying points with that team. At 3 and higher, I'd have to be looking at the Wildcats here. And I understand why they're the square dog here going on the road. They've played a tough schedule so far, at least as of late in that Cayman Classic, right? Rhode Island, Nevada, they took them to overtime. I think this looks like a really close type game. Last possession wins it, Trig. So I don't hate your Butler money line pick. I can see exactly why you're on them.
All right.
Good start here. College basketball at the top. Big game breakdown.
Yeah. Goes in 20 minutes, Drew. That's why I just want to make sure that's a 6:30 p.m. game.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Little happy hour special. Chris Thurston at CTBet16. We can't let too much time go, but before bringing in the big dog, maybe a hula dance. Who knows? Big 12 conference specialist here. We got Kelly Stewart, Chris Thurston as well, both alumni in the conference championship weekend here. CT Bets, Baylor Bears, tough showing last night, although took a lot of key things away, man. Top 10 team, they can bounce back. It's a college basketball, long season here. What's on your mind, man? Welcome in. What do you got for big game breakdown?
Drew, tough showing for the Bears last night is an understatement.
Time out. I just got to say thank you to CT really quick because I had Marquette on my long list, and I'm like, I'm going to ask the Baylor fan, thinking maybe he would give me some insight. And he goes, no, I like Marquette plus the points. I did not sprinkle on the money line, though, because I did not see that one coming.
No, neither did I, Cal. I knew Marquette would score some points and stay with them. I thought Baylor would maybe win the game in a last possession game, but wow, I didn't see that one coming. That was the worst game I've seen Baylor basketball play in a really, really long time. So, Drew, shout out to you. The night before, you hit me up and you're like, CT, what do you think about the total in the Baylor Marquette game? And I was like, oh, Drew, I'm actually about to look at hoops for tomorrow. And I looked at it. I'm like, Drew, I think that's a little low, as crazy as that sounds. Even though it was 154.5, I thought that was low. And both teams can score. And man, Marquette could really score. And they showed it last night. They looked great. They didn't miss. I thought Baylor would make a run in the second half. And every time I looked up, I was on radio last night. It was still, they were up 20 plus. So nice work there, Drew, and Kel, nice to cash there. So Drew, for my big game breakdown, I wasn't going to do the Big 12 Championship because I didn't want to steal Kel's thunder, because I figured that's the game she would probably break down. But we're here to give our best bets, right? And this is my best college bet of the weekend. We study the Big 12 pretty closely all year. And not too many people would have told you at the start of the season this would be the Big 12 championship game, and myself would be included. And KIV and I said a couple weeks ago on the show we wanted this rematch to be the finals, and we'd be all over the Wildcats if it came to that. My tune hasn't changed. And let's go back to Saturday, October 22nd for a second here. Adrian Martinez was the trigger man for the Wildcats, Drew. And I'm not sure if you remember, but he only played one series that game before getting hurt. Then Will Howard comes in to replace him. Well, K-State held 28-10 lead with about 30 seconds left in the second half. TCU cuts it to 28-17 with like 20 seconds left going into the third quarter. Second half was a different story for the Wildcats, but they had some injuries in the second half, Drew. I don't know if a lot of people remember that. Will Howard ended up getting banged up in that game. And a few other key Wildcats. So Will Howard gets thrown into that game, which wasn't expected. He wasn't expected to be QB1, so he wasn't taking any of the reps all week long and still plays great. Then he gets hurt. So let's fast forward here. I think he's played 5 games. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kel, so far. And if, in my opinion, Drew, Kel, if Adrian Martinez doesn't get hurt versus Baylor, I don't think K-State's where they are right now. I think a big factor is Will Howard, and he's the clear QB1 for Kansas State. And I think he's going to remember that TCU hurt him October 22nd weekend. He wants revenge. This defense has gotten better week after week. And want to know what else the K-State Wildcats bring to this game? The run game. And the deuce is going to be loose. I like K-State to get the job done, win the Big 12. I tip my hat to Sonny Dykes for what he's done this year with this Frogs team. This is Kleiman's game, and Chris Kleiman's the better coach. I'm playing on K-State plus 2.5.
Like the breakdown, CT Bats, man. Big 12 conference. I mean, Kelly, should we just throw it over to you with your big game breakdown here? Don't bury the lead.
You can. Chris is right. I was going to talk about this game because, of course, I have to. I've been running my mouth on Twitter for like the last 3 weeks about how this game should be a pick 'em, and then they're going to open it 2.5, and then it did. Chris brought up a really interesting dynamic, and that's something I haven't considered today. So I'm just going to touch on that before I go into my fake big game breakdown, because I got to pick another one here. But that's wow, Will Howard. You're right. He wasn't expected to be QB1. He was supposed to be, right? Skylar Thompson's off in the NFL playing for the Dolphins, and Will really struggled as a backup quarterback behind him for his first 2 years. I'm going to be really honest with you. I was so excited for Adrian Martinez. That would give Will a red shirt, give us 2 years with him, give him some more time to develop. He has stepped in there and really, just wheeled out just an incredible pair, because I wouldn't have expected him to do any of that. And I'm going to say that maybe Adrian's the reason why we lost the Tulane game. Chris is right. When he was screaming, kill him, at the Waco game, and then they killed Adrian and they brought in Will. I was thinking, I don't know if you really wanted that to happen. And I think it would have been a lot different of a game. Maybe not defensively for the Kansas State Wildcats, but definitely offensively. I think it would have been a lot closer of a game. So it was a really good point by CT there that, Will had to fight for his QB1 position to come back. I mean, when you have a super senior like Adrian come in and transfer and it gets promised the starting position, obviously to do so by Chris Kleiman, that probably takes a little bit of an ego hit, but it didn't appear to affect Will whatsoever. I do think after he threw that interception, though, which kind of was his Achilles heel in that TCU game, kind of changed the dynamic, if you will. He has only thrown one interception since, 13 touchdown passes. I think Chris is right. We're going to see a little bit of air and out, but we're going to see a lot of run game. And last week, we did not see that from the Wildcats defensively. I know Chris said they have been improving week after week. Last week without two really solid defensive players. Hopefully they'll be back for the Big 12 championship games, but we'll see. There's actually five games, same season revenge this week. It's going to be an awesome one. I'm going to kick it right into big game breakdown. And you know what? I'm actually going to pivot to the NFL instead. I'm going to talk about a game that maybe isn't that big of a game as far as breakdowns go, but it's a game that I really like here, and that is the Las Vegas Raiders +2. It is headed to 1.5, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it be pick 'em come Sunday morning. So keep an eye on it here. I took the Raiders +2 against the Chargers, and it's been no surprise to see this Chargers team really struggle because they have been bit by the injury bug, and it is really hampered this team's season. I mean, obviously the Chargers had a big hope to make the playoffs this year. They haven't been there since 2018. And boy, last year, remember they lost in overtime at Allegiant Stadium. I'm sure they have this one circled. But this Las Vegas team has been so much better as a live home dog. Not as a home favorite, of course, as a home dog. I think this defense is going to continue to get better week after week, particularly this week. They're going to put a lot of pressure on Justin Herbert. I like the +2, +1.5 money line. Las Vegas 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 as a dog. Granted, Chargers play better on the road than they do in the soccer stadium, which it technically isn't anymore. But I like the Raiders here. They're also a great teaser spot for Sunday.
Big weekend in Vegas. Pac-12 Championship game Friday night.
Absolutely.
Raiders at home. That's going to be fun if you're in Las Vegas for sure. CT, I thought you made some great points there, man, with the TCU Kansas State game. And it's interesting because when you bring up the quarterback for Kansas State kind of losing his job, if you remember TCU's quarterback, Max Duggan, he didn't start the year either.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of aspect of both quarterback rooms and kind of persevering through that, like getting the job to another guy and then you coming in and being kind of the savior for the season. It's going to be a great game. Big 12 championship game for sure. I mean, CT, as a Big 12 conference fan, are you rooting for TCU or to kind of carry the mantle?
No. Wait, time out. Drew, we're not the SEC. We don't root for other Big 12 teams. If K-State wasn't in it, I'd be cheering for both teams to lose.
I'm cheering for Kansas State. One, because I can't stand TCU, and two, because I really like K-State to win the game, and that's where my money's going to be on. So, and I'd be happy to see K-State win the Big 12. It'll be a nice change of pace.
Okay. And Kelly, I got to clear something up. I mean, I never in my life have I rooted for Alabama. I can't. If Alabama makes the playoff, that would be the worst thing to happen to college football.
Yeah, I'm just giving you grief as a SEC fan because I always find it so weird that like we go and then they're chanting I remember the Auburn game in Manhattan. They're chanting SEC, and I'm like, what? Like
we're not the only ones to do that.
Big 12. Like there's just all these like things with SEC fans. It's like, oh, cool, I'm a Vanderbilt fan, so I'm just going to cheer for Alabama because at least we got one team in the conference in the play. It's like, give me a break. That's just how I feel. So I had to cut off because I knew already what CT's answer was. If this was Texas TCU, I would absolutely 5,000% just like, I hope this game goes to 7 overtimes and it's 0-0 and they just both just fade off into oblivion.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And SEC isn't the only one to do that. I can remember walking out of the national championship.
Pac-12 or ACC or Big Ten chant in my life.
No,
never.
I was going to say.
I've heard a big ACC chant at walking out of the Rose Bowl in 2013 when Florida State nipped Auburn for the national championship. I couldn't get it. There were so many people, ACC. I'm like, this is stupid. Who cares?
I heard ACC and hoops.
Have you?
In Cameron, yeah. But
I guess I never have. I mean, I just picture like somebody chanting Big East or something of Greek. I'm just like, shut up. Like, I guess I'm just one of those people that, yeah, I want every chance they get, I want teams to lose. I know that it benefits. Like if Texas would have beat Alabama and then K-State beat Texas, that benefits. But no, I hate all of those teams, some more than others.
It's definitely overplayed, Kelly. I'm with you. I'm not a big fan of that either. We do a big game breakdown. I wanted
Drew,
Drew,
real quick, before we move on from K-State football, someone DM'd me and said, what did you lose to Kelly last week? And the answer is tickets to the K-State Kansas basketball game. I did have Kansas. I was on the wrong side. Kel was right. Kansas State was the better team in that game. They pulled away. So I'll be buying the tickets. When
they pulled away? What do you mean? Right out of the gate. 7-0. Senate open, wide open.
Right out of the gate.
There was no pulling away late. They covered the first half spread. They covered the game spread.
Right out of the gate, they had a 3-and-out, and then there was a muff punt.
Problem.
So
and then Kansas fumbled the punt. K-State scored. Next series, K-State gets the ball back. And what happened? Senate wide open. I could have caught that football. That's how wide open he was.
Kansas hung around. If they had gotten that 2-point conversion, you'd have been sweating the 11 and a half. It would have been 18. You would have had to sweat that backdoor touchdown, but it wasn't to be. So I'll be buying the tickets when we go to see Kansas State, Kansas in January. That's what I love
it. I was just going to try to get free tickets, but you paying for them is even sweeter.
Well, if you get free tickets to that one, I'll get them for the Missouri game. That's what I said. So tickets on Trig for the loss right there. But CT and Trigger are out a lot, so hit us up. Come to Boston sometime.
Perfect.
All right, guys. Big game breakdown before we get to best bets. I'm trying to think which one to make my big game breakdown and best bet, but I'll save the better one for best bets here, guys. So I'm going to go big game breakdown. SEC championship game over LSU and Georgia. We got it 51 flat right now. Guys, when people think of Georgia, it's best defense, this, that. They also got a top 10 total offense as well. I don't think people realize how good the Georgia offense is. They just put up what Texas A&M just put up 38 points and 400 yards against this LSU defense. I think Georgia, they have an outside chance at just kind of skying this total themselves, in my opinion. Controlled climate in Atlanta. And Georgia, where did they struggle defensively the most is against mobile quarterbacks like Anthony Richardson for Florida. They were able to punch it in the end zone a couple times. We get that with LSU here. So overall, guys, I think the total of 51, way too low. I think this finishes something like 45, 24, something in that range. Up and over SEC championship game for my big game breakdown. We got best bets at the end. Huge shout out to the chat box here. The Hustle Show podcast, wherever you're downloading your podcasts at. The Hustle Show podcast. Also, WagerTalk.com. Viva Tequila Seltzer. Guys, if you haven't tried it, you need to. Flavored our tequila seltzer because flavor is the spice of life, and we like our drinks with a kick, just as we like to live our lives. #1 hard seltzer in the world by the San Francisco World Spirits Competition this year. 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, 4.5% ABV. Viva, the perfect drink for your pre or post-game celebrations. Viva tequilaseltzer.com. Hustle 20 at checkout gives you 20% off. Do we want to throw out anything else before getting to best bets here, guys?
Yeah, I have a play on the Friday Night Lights game that I almost gave out for my big game breakdown that I like, that I give out in the Pac-12 Championship, Drew, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's USC, Utah. I took 3 with Utah here, playing it in Vegas, neutral field. Both teams are going to travel really well, but USC fans are, I want to say, they're losers. So I was going to say a different word. So I think the advantage is huge here for Utah and their fan base. And Utah closed strong here. They won 5 of their last 6 games. We saw last week, right? Caleb Williams won the Heisman, Drew. Clearly. I think it was minus 3,000 into Monday to win the Heisman. CJ Stroud will be the runner-up. I thought last week that Travis Dye was going to be a big factor, not having him available for USC, Drew. And clearly it wasn't. Caleb Williams went off. But I don't think he's going to be able to do that against this Utah D. This Utah D is a lot better than Notre Dame's defense. Kyle Whittingham will have them ready to go. And I think if anybody could beat them twice this year, it will be Utah. Cam Rising, greater than Drew Pine. Cam Rising is going to score. This Utah team is going to put up points. I think you could see that just based upon where the total's at. And I think Utah is going to get the job done and kind of ruin Lincoln Riley and USC's chances to make the playoff here. So I like the 3. So I took the +3 here in the Pac-12 Championship Friday Night Lights, Drew.
I love the game, man. It's almost like I haven't heard many people taking Utah at all. CT bats. Not that that's a bet. That's actually probably a good thing for
everybody I talk to. Oh my God, just put USC in the playoff. It's all said and done. The Utah can't stop them. So
I need him in the playoffs, but I am taking Utah +3. Just it's a good hedge spot for me. I hope USC wins by 1 or 2 because then I'll get my USC futures home and the win. But I agree with Chris. I think Utah probably, with the points, probably the right side there.
Trig, this is where I love knowing so many people. So one of my girlfriends is actually at the Butler K-State game. She sent me a picture of her little girl in K-State gear, and I said, it looks empty. Does that concern you at all? Because, I mean, you mentioned the home court advantage there, and there's not a ton of people there 9 minutes before the game starts.
I don't non-conference hoops. I've noticed this by going to a few of these games. Like even the places that get typically like pretty strong crowds, for whatever reason, like non-conference just doesn't get as big of a turnout. I don't know if people like just aren't into basketball as much in November or December, but not every place gets a strong turnout during the non-conference. It's a good point. I don't think
it looks like there's like 14 people there. I'm like completely shocked. And that was 4 minutes ago. I'm like, where is everybody? The concession stand?
Yeah, that's a surprise. I mean, the other thing is, Kel, it's an old building. It's got weird sight lines. So there's other reasons that it's probably a strong, strong home court for them. For my thing with Butler, though, is I was high on Butler coming into the season. Kansas State is 6-0, and they're 5-1 against the spread. It's just like there has to be a little bit of regression for K-State. For my sake, I hope it's tonight. But hey, listen, K-State played great last week. I think a lot of people thought they might regress against LSU, and they didn't. So we'll see. I don't know. I got -130 with Butler, so I guess a kind of a good number. See if the Bulldogs can get it done. I still really like them in this spot. I think they're the better team, and we'll see if they get it done. But I don't want to discount K-State. Like, they've really been a pleasant surprise early in the season. They're going to be much better than I thought they were this year.
Guys, we got best bets coming up. If you have any questions, feel free to shout them out if you're watching live on the WagerTalk YouTube channel in the chat box. Also below in the reply section, any questions, what you're betting, all is welcome, what you think of the show. We do have Gary in here asking an NFL question. If you have time, Drew, could you ask the crew about Cleveland Raiders teaser? Thanks. Ooh. Kelly, I know you're big into teasers. Of course, long teasers being the I believe only correct way to bet teasers in sports betting. I spilled
Celsius on this paper, so don't judge me.
Okay.
It was a long day doing bet on it. So Ralph Michaels so kindly today made me a nerd chart because he saw my complaints about teasers and away favorites just absolutely getting obliterated this year in the teasers. And those are true Wong teasers, which that's not what the Cleveland Browns are. So they don't actually fit the system that Ralph was talking about. Because they're not over the 7.5. There's a lot of really interesting stuff to unpack with that game. Deshaun Watson's first game back, playing against his former team. Supposedly, some of his accusers are going to be at the game, which is a really interesting dynamic as well. Lovie Smith, listen, this is a scrappy Texans team. Do I think that Cleveland's going to lose? Probably not. I do have the Raiders in a teaser, but I have them with the Bengals, and then I also have them with the Giants. So I'm going to stay away from that Cleveland teaser, but anybody else have an opinion on that game?
I like the Texans. I was going to make it my best bet for the show. Texans plus the points. I'll use something else in best bets because we're talking about this one now, but I mean, listen, if the Texans, they're totally out of it, right? Like, what? But they get the chance to play against Deshaun. I mean, it's got to be the biggest game for the rest of their season, and they've hung around. Like, they've been competitive at times this year. I wonder if we're giving Cleveland a little too much credit, making them a touchdown favorite on the road in this spot. So I would not be let's put it this way. I wouldn't be using the Browns in a teaser. That is not the optimal teaser leg this week, in my opinion. I don't hate the other one, but Browns is not something that I'd have any interest in putting in a teaser.
Like it. Thanks for the question, guys. And also huge shout out to all the people last week that commented below. Huge amount of comments about Thanksgiving meal, what's overrated, Kelly in Vegas's birthday, wishing you a happy birthday, Kelly. So a lot of people out there also getting on me for taking Auburn money line plus the points. Well, hey, 0.5 point cover with Auburn in the Iron Bowl. It got there, even though they tried to give the game to Alabama. People saying I go off on Alabama. I'm not a nice guy to Alabama. I'm not. The SEC referee dang headquarters is in Birmingham, Alabama, right next to Tuscaloosa. You saw it in the Iron Bowl. It's just very frustrating, is what it is, guys. Got to leave that in the rear view mirror, though. We got best bets coming up. Huge shout out for all the questions there. So going around the horn here. Trig, come to you first, man. At Top Flight SI. A lot of people commenting, saying a couple guys saying come out to Corvallis. They got a ticket for you. About your Thanksgiving from last week's show. So any final thoughts, and you got a best bet for us?
Yeah, I already responded to the Corvallis guys. I told them I already texted CT. I said, we're going to Corvallis next year, and we're going to hit a basketball game so I can go to a Beavers game, and we're going to try to hit a football game. I think he was like, I'm absolutely not going to Corvallis, but I said, well, we're going to get him out there.
I think Corvallis would be a great time, Trigg. If he doesn't want to go with you, I'll go.
I said I would go. I don't know. He puts words in my mouth.
No. That's right. I asked him if he wanted to.
He asked me on this Sunday night, texts me at 7:30 at night and says, hey, want to get on a plane on Tuesday and go to the Marquette Baylor game? And I just go, no, in capital letters. That's what he asked me that I said no to.
Oh, wow. If we went to, how mad would you have been if we went to that game?
You wouldn't have came back alive.
No, that's probably true.
Yeah,
that's probably true. As far as Thanksgiving, listen, I actually, Mallory's grandmother made an incredible turkey. I still think Thanksgiving is a trash meal. I don't like, it's not, I don't want to see turkey for another 364 days, but the turkey she made was excellent. I still think Thanksgiving dinner in general, not great. As far as my best bet, Drew, I'll just finish up real quick here. We'll go 2-pack of NFL. I threw Texans out there. I think the Texans plus the points is a good bet. And I think the Cowboys are going to massacre the Colts this weekend. I'm kicking myself for not making it a client play at 10, so I'm not going to. But if it's 11, I think you can still play it. The Colts, this is just a bad spot for them. They're a bad team, and they've got to come in on a short week. I got lucky to cash a 5%er with the Giants somehow coming through the back door on Thanksgiving. I think the Cowboys are they're due to just massacre someone right now, and I think it's going to be the Colts on the end of that Cowboys beatdown. They just look like they're playing good football. I think they're going to win by double digits. So we'll go 2-pack for best bets. Texans plus the points, Cowboys minus the points. That'll be it for me, Drew.
All right, Adam Trigger at Top Flight SI, WagerTalk.com. Guys, I'm going to go kicking us off on Championship Saturday here. Ford Field, where the Detroit Lions play their home game for the MAC Championship game. Kicking us off 12 noon Eastern, Toledo and Ohio. The Rockets and the Bobcats, total of 55. Toledo minus 1.5 point favorites. My best bet is on the under. I know it's moved a lot. 5.5 points off the opener, 6.5 even, almost a full touchdown, but it's moved for good reason. I'm on the under here. Toledo and Ohio. Always looking for change as a sports bettor. We get it with the Ohio Bobcats. Their quarterback, Rourke, his older brother's playing in the CFL. He went down 2 weeks ago. And in my opinion, from watching a lot of MAC football, he's the best player in the conference. So there's a drop-off. Now, the backup only played one game. He did look pretty good. He could run it around a little bit. But one, if you're running more, that keeps the clock going. Also, they're going up against Toledo here. First off, it's a championship game atmosphere. My first look is usually towards the under in that. And also Toledo, 3 of their last 4 games have finished under. Ohio keeps the clock running a lot. I think we get a quick championship game here. Saturday kicking us off, 55 being the total. My best bet in this one, MAC championship game, Toledo, Ohio, under 55. So hopefully that cashes. Throw it over here to Kelly Stewart at Kelly in Vegas on Twitter, WagerTalk.com. Bet on it right here on The Hustle. Every game on the board. She's got Barstool Sportsbook as well. Kelly, final thoughts, best bet.
Yeah, final thoughts. Go Cats. All right, I'm going to give out a college basketball bet tonight. Notre Dame +2. What I'm going to personally do is bet half of my bet. So I'm betting all of these for 1 unit right now. I'm not going too crazy with college basketball because it's still early on, but it's been profitable. Lost, I think, 5-2 on the season. I'd have to double check that. But I feel like it's kind of like one of those scenarios where keep it simple. Pick 1 or 2 games a night. Don't need to bet the whole board, but find a winner. Last night we found that winner with Marquette. Tonight, Notre Dame +2. 2s are still available. It's headed to 1.5. But what I'm going to do is 1 unit money line, 1 unit +2. That is what I already bet. And this is a Notre Dame team and a Michigan State team for that matter. They both like to play really, really slow. You've got a banged up Michigan State squad versus a Notre Dame team who has a really solid offense. They don't turn the ball over. They're one of the most experienced teams in Division I basketball. Now, as long as they can somehow just get points in the paint and stop trying to shoot free throws, because that is their Achilles heel, I think that they can win this game against a Michigan State team who's really solid, but they do have 2 losses already on the season, Gonzaga and Alabama, both on neutral courts. This is a back-to-back away games for Sparty, and I think the Irish get the best of them here.
Going with the Irish. All right, Kelly, with best bet, not having to wait until Saturday. We got Chris Thurston last here to finish it off. He's a guy that knows a little bit about Viva Tequila Seltzer, vivatequilaseltzer.com. Guys, remember, hustle 20 at checkout, 20% off, 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, 4.5% ABV. Viva, the perfect drink for your pregame, postgame celebrations. CT Bets, bring us home, man. Final thoughts, best bet.
Yeah, I got another college one here, Drew, but Kel, I'm with you on the Raiders. I gave the Raiders out on Sports Map. My radio show last night is my best NFL bet, so I'm with you there. And you're going to get all 3 of my college football bets picks that I've bet already this week, and I'm going to head to the Big Ten Championship for my best bet. Iowa shits the bed last weekend, cost them the West. Purdue gets in. 6-year trigger man Aiden O'Connell, who, not sure if you guys know this, his brother died about a week and a half ago. Wasn't sure if he was going to play in the game last weekend. He plays, and he was solid. Threw for 290, 2 scores. The run game was solid for the Boilermakers as well. They're red hot right now. They've won 3 straight, 6 of their last 8. Coach Jeff Braun, has done a magnificent job with this team. As we saw in Michigan, they just throttled Ohio State there in the second half. The most complete game that they've played all year long. They're firing on all cylinders. J.J. McCarthy, as cocky as they come, but he's backed it up. They absolutely shredded that Buckeyes secondary. Defensive coordinator Jim Knowles, he was lost in outer space. No Blake Corum, no problem for the Wolverines. But I think Saturday is going to be a little bit of a letdown spot, Drew, for the Wolverines, as they're still high from beating the Buckeyes for the 2nd straight year. They partied all weekend long. They were seen at the Michigan hockey game that night going nuts. I think the Wolverines will be in the playoff no matter what, win or lose. And I think that this is just too many points here. This reminds me of the 2020 Big Ten championship. Not sure if you guys remember. It was Ohio State versus Northwestern. And the number was huge. And everybody was writing Northwestern off. They didn't have a shot. Well, they gave them a run for their money. They almost won the game, but they covered the big number, and I think that's going to be just like this weekend here. And I played on Purdue +17 for my best bet, Drew.
Boilermakers, Boiler up, huh?
Drew, real quick, I want to ask CT a question because this might affect other people. Are those Akron tickets live still because they're playing on Friday?
Yeah, unfortunately, they're still live. If they didn't play the game, it would be no action either way. Can't believe they're still playing it because it doesn't look like, even if Buffalo wins, they're not going to get a bowl game. So it makes no sense to me. They're playing it Friday at 1:00 in the afternoon. So
just that's a degenerate spot right there.
Oh, yeah.
Friday, afternoon 1 o'clock game. CT and I need an Akron outright win to cash season win total over 2.5. Why wouldn't they have? What does Buffalo care about this game? Like, do you like Akron plus the points? I kind of lean them plus the points.
So we had our good friend Kenny White on my show last night, and I asked him about this game because he has the over 1.5 wins for Akron as well. He said he's not very optimistic about it, but Buffalo has a lot of guys out that aren't going to play. Don't think their starting quarterback's going to play, and then a couple other key guys aren't going to play. That line opened at like 16. I think it's down to like 11.5, 12.
Yeah, I saw 11.5, so it definitely moved down.
Akron wasn't expected to win last weekend. They won, so here we are. So yeah, we got to win to cash this ticket, but I wish hopefully they cancel it somehow.
But doesn't Buffalo? They're sitting at 5 wins. They can make a bowl game, right? If they win, no?
Yeah. Somebody was explaining it to me the other day. I can't remember who it was, but for some reason, even if they win, they might be left out. I'm not sure the specifics on it, Drew.
Okay. Yeah. If there's too many 6-win teams, then yeah, a MAC team might be the one that's kind of left
out.
Yeah.
So
sorry.
There it is.
Well, hey, it's absolutely Trig. You're right. The degenerate special of the weekend, Friday at 1, a game that really doesn't matter. I feel like you got to bet it. Oh yeah,
Friday at 1. You know.
So you guys bet the Zips?
That game's
2.5
hours from me, Drew.
Yeah,
I should go root at home.
Yeah, I misspoke earlier. I said 1.5. We bet over 2.5.
2.5 plus money. 2.5 plus money.
And they're sitting at 2.
Yeah.
And they need this win to cash.
Put us over here.
Wow. Yeah, that's degenerate as it gets. Sweating out a season win total bet. Championship week, and it's not even a championship game. Chris Thurston, Adam Trigger. Trig, you should go to the game.
It's 2 hours from my house. I should go and I'll be on the Akron sideline, rooting the Zips home for the season win total.
Trig, run on the field so they have to tackle you, hopefully cause a scene, cancel the game.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah, let your dog loose like on the field, something like that. Yeah. Oh, guys, great show as always. Please smash that like button if you're liking it. Follow CT Bets on Twitter at CT Bets 16, at Kelly in Vegas, at Top Flight SI. I'm at Drew Martin Bets. VivaTequilaSeltzer.com, WagerTalk.com as well. Guys, if you could smash that like button, helps us out. Feel free to reply below as well. That helps the algorithm out. Huge shout out to the chat box. As always, we'll be back next Wednesday, 6 o'clock Eastern time. Have fun championship weekend. If you're in Dallas, hit up at Kelly in Vegas on Twitter. K-State, TCU, big game, Big 12 championship game. We'll be back next Wednesday, 6 o'clock Eastern. Thanks for tuning in. Cash those